Hey, this is Jake from Jake's Board Reviews, and today we're checking out the SF3 and finally getting around to reviewing it. Look, it's been a long time coming. The SF3 is a small wave performance board from legendary shaper Wade Tokoro, who's based in Hawaii on the North Shore. So all the boards that the pros use at Pipeline, like Zeke Lau, for example, Jamie O'Brien, all ride Tokoros, and they ride mainly like the 4VCs and the 4 model. Beforehand, you had Seth Moniz. Anyway, that's a bit of like history with who Wade Tokoro sponsors and Tokoro Surfboard sponsor. Now, this board is a small wave performance board. I would say it's good in about small to head high waves. So I found that the Tokoro SF3 thrived in waves that were more rolly, and it was about 2 to 4 foot. Why that's the case is because the Tokoro SF3 has these fuller rails, which sit more on top of the water. And also quite relatively a lower like entry rocker and lower exit rocker. So yeah, just getting into waves, you have a bit more foam forward, wide point forward. Paddling's a dream on this thing. You think it's like just a small thin board when you look at it, but because it's got that width, that wider tail block, it definitely likes getting over those flatter sections in the 2 to 4 foot range. Sometimes the problem I found with the Tokoro SF3 was that I was a little bit too much on top of the water. As soon as the waves got over 4 foot plus, I was feeling like I was just had too much lift, especially because it has that single to double concave, and you can feel that double within the fins. I don't know if you can see it exactly. Try to get the camera to focus on it, but yeah, you can see that double within the fins, and then it just kind of flattens out in the back there. Almost dropped the board there. You know, people make it look like sophisticated. Sometimes these board reviews aren't sophisticated, but yeah, so it's got that single to double concave, flattens out for the exit there, and yeah, just like a regular kind of squash tail. So it's a fast and whippy board. The problem I found with the Tokoro SF3 after a while was that I was finding I just couldn't get into rhythm with it. So I would have some really fun surfs on it when it was like small and rolly, or like kind of head high and rolly and I had time, or even if it was like kind of a bit more hollow and steep, it wasn't really a problem as long as you had the right size wave. But you see, as soon as it got like a bit bigger, it just felt like the board didn't like it too much. So you can see why, because of that low entry rocker, low exit rocker, that's why the board didn't like it as much. I was riding the Coffin fins in a medium the first session, realized I didn't like it, and I switched to like an AM template. It's actually an old template called the RTM Tech 2s. I just have them lying around, and yeah, they worked a treat. They felt good in the board, just had enough rake, but still a honeycomb template, so they weren't so stiff. Problem with the Coffin fins, the Coffin fins, is that I find they're a little bit stiff in certain boards. They're better when you have a board with more rocker and you're kind of going into bigger surf, or you know, anything 3 foot plus or 2.5 foot plus. It has to be ridden, but see below that, if it doesn't have enough punch, these fins in kind of these stub down boards, they just limit them because you need the most speed and the most amount of flow in the small waves to get you over the flat spots and just link up the turns. The only problem I found, well, there's a couple problems I found with the Tokoro SF3, but very fun board. Reminded me a bit of a Phantom, very similar with that wide point forward, easy to paddle into waves. The issue I found with the Tokoro SF3, one of the many issues, was that, I don't know, I couldn't really quite get into it as much as I'd like to. I'd have sessions where I'd be like, wow, this is insane, and I can really release, but then say I had a couple sessions where I took the GoPro out and it was just like, why is it not working? This one's a 5.8, 19.25 by 2 3/8. Almost said 2 7/8, 2 3/8 at 27 liters. It felt good. However, I think I would get this a stock size below, but I would like to go custom dims because the stock size below is about 25 liters. It's a bit too small. So yeah, just a stock size below, just to, you know, really have that loose sensitivity, but I wouldn't want to sacrifice the paddle power. So I'd recommend for most of you not to go stock size below and keep it. If you're around like me, like what I weigh, around 70 kilos, 5'11", I would stick with these kind of dimensions. If you're a regular everyday surfer or you're a weekend warrior, you don't really want to be paddling your ass off, to be honest, do you, mate? So yeah, look, on that note, pretty relatively fun board. I don't think I'll keep it. Yeah, just want to keep reviewing other boards and try new boards. So I had fun, had some really fun sessions. Definitely surprised me in hollow sections that this thing was all right, because yeah, it just didn't really feel like it was struggling, where some boards with those fuller rails and that concave setup with the single to double, and then when it goes flat, they feel like they're kind of not really entering the waves very well, and they kind of just feel it on top of the water. I had it with the Inferno 72. I had it with the Zero Gravity as well. So yeah, there's boards, those are examples of boards that kind of struggled in those wave settings. But anyway, overall, I do like this board. Tokoro is a great shaper. Yeah, if you want a small wave board where you're going to fit it in between, say you had like a SFS, I think it is, like the board that's above this. So you had a SFS, a SF3 below it, and then you had a 4VC. That would be an unreal quiver. I think like you couldn't go wrong with that if you had that as your 3-board quiver. I would actually like that as my 3-board quiver. But I think for around like Northern Rivers and, you know, Northern New South Wales beach breaks and Gold Coast and even Sydney and all that, it's a great choice. Huntington Beach, and if you're in America, California there, you can't go wrong with this board. It's just fun on those, like it generates its speed. It's a little bit loose in the back there. You can free the fins if you want. And I think people that did like the Paizel Phantom will really like this board. I don't know which one I like better, Paizel Phantom or this. I think personally, actually, I almost like this better, but yeah, it's hard to say. Anyway, that's the Tokoro SF3. As you can see here, SF3 done. That's a review, and I do like this board. So yeah, you know my verdict. I won't be keeping it, but if you have any questions about Tokoros or this particular model, leave them in the comment below, and subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more Tokoro reviews or any other reviews. Let me know in the comments. Cheers. Thank you.
Skateboard reviews.